Clash in Italy is right around the corner, but once it's over, we are officially on the road to Night of Champions. And that is where WWE will crown the new King and Queen of the Ring winners. But who's gonna win the tournament? Let's speculate. I'm Brandon, this is Wrestling Talk, and today I'm gonna be predicting who's gonna win the 2026 Queen of the Ring tournament. And I thought the best way to do that was a top 5 list. I'm gonna do a separate video for the King of the Ring. Now keep in mind before we start, the winner of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments do get a world title shot at SummerSlam, but it's only for the champion on their respective brand. So if Roxanne Perez wins the Queen of the Ring tournament, she can't challenge Rhea Ripley, who's the WWE Women's Champion on SmackDown. She can only challenge the Raw Champion, who is currently Liv Morgan. So with that in mind, let's get started. Coming in at number 5, I have Iyo Sky. Iyo Sky is in a tricky situation right now because all of her main angles for storylines have kind of gone away. Rhea Ripley is the world champion on SmackDown, Kairi Sane is no longer with the company, and Asuka is semi-retired. So even though Iyo Sky is one of the most popular members on the entire roster, WWE have found themselves in kind of a rebuilding phase with her. On one hand, it does seem like WWE is toying with the idea of Iyo Sky and Sol Ruca going after Becky Lynch for the IC title. And if that happens, Iyo Sky obviously won't be winning Queen of the Ring. Despite all that though, I still feel like Iyo Sky winning Queen of the Ring is a legit possibility. Because let's be honest, Iyo Sky doesn't need the IC title, and also Iyo Sky versus Liv Morgan for the world title at SummerSlam is a huge match. Now we did see Liv versus Iyo for the world title at Saturday night's main event in like December of 2024. Given that we're like a year and a half removed from that, I feel like that's enough time to run this match back. And also since that time, Iyo Sky has exploded in stardom. So I genuinely think Liv versus Iyo is a huge match to do. And if WWE doesn't necessarily want to pull the trigger on Liv versus Raquel or Roxanne as early as SummerSlam, I feel like Iyo Sky is the best option for her to face. So because Iyo Sky doesn't need the IC title just yet, because her versus Liv is a huge match, and also just because Iyo Sky needs something to do, I can absolutely see her winning the Queen of the Ring tournament, challenging Liv at SummerSlam, although I'm not so sure she would win. Moving on to number 4, I have Jacy Jayne. Now Jacy Jayne and Fatal Influence debuted on SmackDown a little bit after WrestleMania, and they were met with some of the loudest boos I've heard in years, honestly since Dominic Mysterio joined the Judgment Day. So as soon as that happened, I knew that Jacy Jayne was going to be a big star on the main roster, and according to some reports, WWE has been shifting creative plans around because Jacy Jayne is getting over so well. And what better way is there to capitalize on her momentum than her winning the Queen of the Ring tournament and challenging Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. We already saw this match on SmackDown, but it wasn't for a world title and there was a wonked finish. So I can definitely see Rhea and Jacy running this back, this time for the world title. And once you throw in Fatal Influence on Jacy's side and Charlotte and Alexa on Rhea's side, this can be a very fun overbooked match. It makes a lot of sense. The only reason why Jacy isn't up higher on this list is because I feel like her match with Rhea is going to happen before SummerSlam. At the time of recording, Rhea, Charlotte, and Alexa are going to face Jade Cargill, Michin, and B-Fab at Saturday night's main event. I feel like Fatal Influence will get involved in that match as well, which means that at some point between Saturday night's main event and SummerSlam or even Night of Champions, we're gonna get that match between Rhea and Jacy. Honestly, I can see it happening at Night of Champions itself. And also when I think of those annual accolades that wrestlers can win, like the Rumble, the Chamber, Queen of the Ring tournament, Money in the Bank, I feel like Jacy Jayne is more likely and more suited to win Money in the Bank than she is Queen of the Ring. Because Jacy Jayne, as her current character, feels more like an opportunist, someone who is definitely going to cheat to win, whereas wrestlers who win the Queen of the Ring tournament are typically just very dominant, ones who just blow through everyone, and I don't quite think that's who Jacy Jayne's character is right now. Granted, I'm always up for something new, having a Queen of the Ring winner who only won because she had her teammates cheat for her. I'm down to see it, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I feel like Jacy versus Rhea is gonna happen before SummerSlam. Moving on to number 3 though, also on SmackDown, I have Charlotte Flair. It has been a long time since Charlotte Flair has had a big, huge win. Honestly, her winning the Royal Rumble in 2025 was probably the last time that happened. I do think this babyface run with Alexa Bliss has done wonders for Charlotte's career. It has finally gotten the fans behind her as a genuine babyface. So I do think it's only a matter of time before she wins another world title, or at the very least earns another world title shot. And it makes all the sense in the world for the Queen to win the Queen of the Ring tournament. I feel like that's something that has to be checked off the bucket list at some point in Charlotte's career. I just don't know if it's gonna happen yet, because the current champion on SmackDown is Rhea Ripley, who is also a babyface and is pretty much the most over babyface in women's wrestling today. So if you did Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam, Charlotte's probably gonna get booed, and I don't think that's what WWE wants. And also, as big of a match as that would be, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, I feel like that match is reserved for WrestleMania, because the two of them have already faced each other twice at WrestleMania. Charlotte won at WrestleMania 36, Rhea won at 39. Charlotte has said in multiple interviews that she wants her versus Rhea to be the first ever women's WrestleMania trilogy. So when that match happens again, and I do think it will, I think they're gonna reserve it for WrestleMania. I'm not saying it's going to happen at this upcoming WrestleMania in Saudi, but I don't think it's going to happen at SummerSlam. I don't think WWE wants these two babyfaces going at it so soon. I feel like the more likely scenario that's going to happen is by feuding with Jade Cargill and her team and Fatal Influence, Rhea and Charlotte are going to eventually form a friendship. And I think only after that true friendship forms is when the idea of them facing each other again at WrestleMania becomes a possibility. Again, this is like years down the line. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love it if Charlotte Flair won here, but I don't quite see it happening. However, there's always the potential that Jacy Jayne beats Rhea Ripley, walks into SummerSlam as champion, then I think Charlotte Flair winning Queen of the Ring tournament is like a lock. But for now, I think she is number 3. Coming in at number 2 though, the most likely Queen of the Ring winner for the Raw brand, I got Stephanie Vaquer. At the time of recording, she is currently out dealing with an injury. However, there have been reports saying that she's going to come back on TV soon. At Clash in Italy, I can definitely see a situation where you get Stephanie versus Liv again, or you can even get Liv and Dom versus Stephanie and Finn Balor. Both scenarios I think are very likely, because once Stephanie comes back, you don't necessarily need to have her win the Queen of the Ring tournament to get a title shot against Liv. I feel like in kayfabe, her getting a rematch makes a lot of sense, and I do think WWE is going to want to make up for the pretty lousy match Liv and Stephanie had at WrestleMania. So at some point this year, I do think we're going to see Liv versus Stephanie again. And if it doesn't happen at Clash in Italy, I can definitely see it happening at SummerSlam. I think Stephanie can come back, they do the mixed tag match at Clash in Italy, and then Stephanie is told that she has to enter the Queen of the Ring tournament in order to challenge Liv at SummerSlam. Or Stephanie just returns after Clash in Italy, enters the Queen of the Ring tournament, wins the whole thing, and then at SummerSlam we get the rematch from WrestleMania. Stephanie winning Queen of the Ring makes a lot of sense. I can see this rematch happening, especially if WWE doesn't quite want to pull the trigger on Liv versus Roxanne or Liv versus Raquel just yet. But because it's very possible that Stephanie versus Liv happens again before SummerSlam, my number 1 pick is a match that I feel like won't happen before SummerSlam. I feel like WWE would definitely save it for SummerSlam. And my number 1 pick for SmackDown is Lash Legend. When it comes to the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments, the winners are generally superstars who just dominate the entire field. Think of Nia Jax, Jade Cargill, Gunther, and Cody Rhodes. And when looking at the entire women's roster and potential candidates to win this tournament, Lash Legend is easily the favorite, because ever since she's come up to the main roster, she has been someone who has just dominated the competition. In both the War Games match and Royal Rumble, she made Rhea Ripley look like her bitch. Her and Nia Jax lost the tag team championships without getting pinned, so not only was it a protected loss for Lash Legend, but it also frees her up to do something else come SummerSlam. And also WWE has started teasing this match on SmackDown with Lash Legend and Rhea Ripley having a face-off. And unlike Rhea and Jacy Jayne, this doesn't feel like a match that WWE is gonna rush into. It simply feels like something we're planting the seeds for. I absolutely think Lash Legend is gonna walk into Night of Champions competing in the Queen of the Ring finals, and I feel like her opponent is either gonna be someone like a Stephanie Vaquer, Iyo Sky, maybe Lyra Valkyria. But if her opponent is any one of those three, or really anyone else on Raw, I feel like Lash Legend is definitely winning. And again, I feel like Rhea versus Jacy is going to happen sooner rather than later, so then leading into SummerSlam, if you're not going to do this big money match of Rhea versus Charlotte, you're just going to need a heel to win the tournament and then challenge Rhea, and Lash Legend is that heel. Because there's not a lot of story that's going to motivate this match, it's just going to be, I won the tournament, you're the champion, let's go. And then once you get to SummerSlam, this match is hella unpredictable because Nia Jax is definitely going to be in Lash's corner. So while yes, it makes sense for Rhea Ripley to win, keep in mind Lash Legend has dominated her during the Rumble and even War Games, and now she has Nia Jax in her corner. I honestly feel like Rhea could lose at SummerSlam, but that's a different video for a different time. When it comes to who's just gonna win the Queen of the Ring tournament, all of my chips are being placed on Lash Legend. But let's go ahead and look at the rest of the roster and kind of go through some honorable mentions. All right, looking at the WWE roster right now, there's Bayley and of course Lyra Valkyria. I feel like both of them are firmly in the tag division, which is unfortunate. I feel like they were gonna win those tag titles at WrestleMania, but then with Nikki Bella getting hurt and Paige coming back, I think WWE made the right call in switching it so Paige and Brie Bella won the titles. But because of that, I feel like Lyra and Bayley are kind of in limbo at the moment, and they're just firmly in the mid-card. I don't see either of them winning. At some point, though, I would like to see Lyra get elevated to the world title scene. Becky Lynch is the IC champion. She's not going to win the tournament. Ivy Nile is never featured, let's be honest. Maxine Dupree has been seen with the Vision, so I feel like she's probably going to enter more of a managerial role. Well, maybe not a managerial role, but I don't think she's going to be going after the world title. Natty, again, never featured. And then you got Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Here's my thing with them. I don't think either of them are going to enter the tournament because Liv is the champion on Raw. So if you're on Raw and you enter the tournament, you're basically saying, I want to challenge Liv at SummerSlam. And if Roxanne or Raquel are going to turn on Liv Morgan, I don't think they're going to do so by entering the tournament, nor do I see Liv Morgan losing before SummerSlam. So yeah, I don't think Roxanne or Raquel are going to factor into the Queen of the Ring tournament at all. And then lastly on Raw, there's Sol Ruca. She is firmly in the IC title scene. I don't think she's going to win either. Moving on to SmackDown, we have Alexa Bliss. Let's be honest, WWE hasn't necessarily booked Alexa Bliss as a strong world title contender. So yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen. I feel like she's going to lose whatever qualifying match she has on SmackDown. You got Blake Monroe, who hasn't even debuted on SmackDown yet, and when she does, I feel like she's going to be in the US title scene. Candice LeRae, never featured. Chelsea Green, currently out with an injury. Not really an injury, but I think she had a heart procedure recently. Julia, I don't see winning at all, let's be honest, come on. I don't think Fallon Henley or Lainey Reed are gonna win the tournament over Jacy Jayne. That's not happening. Kiana James might win a qualifying match, but I don't think she's going to win the tournament. Jordynne Grace would have been a contender if she was featured more prominently on SmackDown, but lately I've seen her wrestling a lot of dark matches on like main event and stuff, so because of that, I don't think WWE sees her in that light just yet. And then lastly, you have Nia Jax, who I think may win a qualifying match on SmackDown, but I don't think she's going to win the whole tournament because she's already won it before. I honestly think this is Lash Legend's year 100%. I feel like her versus Rhea Ripley is a huge match for SummerSlam. But that's it. Those are my top 5 picks to win the Queen of the Ring tournament. Let me know who you think is going to win down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.